Trying to bring my things on here.
Namaskar, Jai.
Jain. Now I'm trying to put my iTunes. Okay.
Namo Nori Sauriyantam, Namo Nori Sauridanam, Namo Nori Saurayam, Namo Nori Saujayam, Namo Nori Sautrivavati Savanam, Omkara Mindu Sanyukta Nityam Jayanti Yogina, Kamadam Mokshadam Che Omkara Namo, Manganam Bhagavanayo, Manganam Uttamam, Manganam Kunkundari Ujendra Mursu Manganam Namasamastara. Swanubhutya Katha Sthiti Swahai Bhavaya Sarvaha Vibhava Nirusanidata.
Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Aryanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Ujjayanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Savanam. Esu Panchanamukaro Savva Pava Panasanam Manglalancha Savvising Padamam Hoyanglam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityan Dhyayanti Yoginam Kamadam Mokshadam Cheva Omkaraya Namo Namo Nama Samay Saraya Swanu Bhutya Chakasate Chitsabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Agnanatimira Andanam Gnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Nama Tirthankaro Jagatana Jayavanta Varto Omkaranada Jinano Jayavanta Varto Jinana Samo Sarana Sau Jayavanta Varto Niti Jagama Jayavanta Varto Namo Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangarotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Aho Upakara Jinavarano Kundano Dvani Divyano Jina Kunda Dvani Apya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Te Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupama Gati Pamela Sarve Sidane Vandi Kahun Sruta Kevali Bhasita Asamaya Prabrata Are Hum Eka Suddha Sada Arupi Jnana Darshanamaya Khare Kai Anyate Maru Jari Paramanu Matra Nati Are Jamane Trate Majnana Nati Karaka Nati Vedak Are Jani Jakar Modaya Nirajara Bandate Majamokshane Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Sisuddharmane Namaha. Jai Jinendra. Let me bring the slides. We are. This is today is March 1st, 2016, and we are doing the regular Swadhyay Jainism Basic. And on this one, we always talked about substance in general, and now we are talking this soul as a substance. We'll just take individually all the substances: soul, matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time. So I need to share the share screen. Okay, so here we are, and we are talking about soul as a substance. How do I know this is soul? We have to differentiate soul from other substances. So we saw certain attributes, certain conditions, certain characteristics of soul, and we'll continue further on that. Last time we stopped at this one. चेतन को है उपयोग रूप बिन मूरत चिन्ह मूरत अनुप पुद्गल नभ धर्म अधर्म काल इन्हें न्यारी है जीव चाल. This is Chedala. Chedala is a very very important scripture, and it just gives in nutshell about total Jainism. And this is second dhala, and second dhala, it just talks about what is a soul. So it says soul is with knowledge and perception attribute. We talked about that in great detail, that soul is the one has a consciousness element. This consciousness comprises of two things: knowledge and perception, two main attributes, Gnan and Darshan. So soul is with the knowledge and perception attribute. Soul has property of knowing and perceiving. It's with consciousness and is formless and cannot be compared with anything else. Matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space, time, substances are entirely different from living substance. So we have taken the references of different scripture telling that the soul is full of consciousness. And Chedala also continues to give the same meaning what other scripture have mentioned. So now, having finished that one, let's start to the next one and try to see. Attentive consciousness means upyog. Last time we talked about upyog or attentive consciousness. What we said at the time: soul is a substance, has infinite attribute, but most unusable attribute soul has is a knowledge. And this knowledge and perception is general perception, knowledge is detailed analysis of the object. Okay, today the Super Tuesday things are going on, and so many states are involved in this primary. That's a general statement. Now, wait a second. What happened in Arkansas? What happened in Minnesota? What happened in the other state? What happened in Georgia? All those things to know is a specificity. General knowledge is perception, and when we know the specific details about it, that's called knowledge. Perception and knowledge. Darshan and Gnan. This darshan is a perception. As I don't know whether we talked this one before or not, but darshan word has a different meaning. Actually, in one of the classes I'm taking in Sanskrit, that it says that the a given word alone can have 16 different meanings in general in Sanskrit. Now when we add Jainism into it, then it can give extra 5 more meaning. So one can have 21 different meaning of a single word. So one has to know where is this word coming from. Acharya Bhagwan will write word darshan. But then is it a perception darshan he wants to convey, or is it the faith aspect of darshan he wants to convey? That is our responsibility. And Why? When will I know it? When I know the detail of different things. Whenever knowledge has been said, it will be said, when we say consciousness, then we say knowledge and perception, knowledge and perception. That means Gnan and Darshan, Gnan and Darshan. When we talk about right faith, enlightenment, Samyak Darshan and everything, then we say Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gnan. That Samyak Darshan means faith, conviction, faith. So darshan word can be used there. Darshan word we are using over here. So darshan and gnan, perception and knowledge, they both have their own modes occurring every moment. Remember, we said modes means modification, means a change is occurring. The knowledge attribute is a stationary. It's immutable. It doesn't show any changes. Same is a perception attribute. Doesn't show any changes. It remains immutable. It remains ever unchanging. Soul substance, immutable, ever unchanging. Only changes we perceive is in the modes, modification. And as we have given example before, ocean is a never changing. It remains same. Now, the waves coming and breaking, coming and breaking, coming, they are called modification. So here also, soul has a consciousness element, and consciousness element comprises of knowledge and perception attributes, but they are not changing. But they have the modification that will be there. So those modification of the perception attribute, modification of the knowledge attribute, they are collectively called attentive consciousness, or it is called upayog. Upayog or attentive consciousness, that means there is an involvement of the knowledge attribute and perception attribute. Having said that, generally, most of the time, when we use the word attentive consciousness, one means it's a knowledge attributes knowing mode. Perception attributes, perceptible mode is also there, but that is made secondary. And when we talk about upyog, means we talk gnan upyog. We talk knowledge consciousness, knowledge modes consciousness, attentive consciousness. So attentive consciousness means modification of consciousness attribute, and out of that consciousness attribute, mainly we give lots of weight to the knowledge mode. Why? Because for us at this point, perception is so subtle that we are not able to pick it up. For example, in the Gurudev has given example that if you see a crow, crow, he has a two opening of the eyes, but he has only one eyeball. And that eyeball is moving so rapidly from one socket of the eye to the other socket of the eye, it appears he has two eyes. But there's only one eye, one eyeball. One eyeball is on the left socket, moving to the right socket, going to the left socket, like that. So it appears to us that there are two. So if you end up watching a crow, watch carefully. Now, what Gurudev said, in that crow, in that kagro, when the eyeball is moving from one socket to other socket, it's moving so fast, so quick, the time between the two sockets, that eyeball is spending, that is called perception. Means it is extremely subtle, and for the untrained eye, it's difficult to catch. So perception is described, but we are not able to really perceive that perception. It is very fast. When the knowledge, this is a pencil. I have the knowledge of this pencil. Before the knowledge of pencil occurred, there is already perception occurred that there is something over here. This is a rough example given in the scripture. I mean, very kind of very rough in the sense, it's a gross type of example, not the finer example. Shukshma example, no. Finer example, no. It is kind of gross. It is kind of just for understanding's sake. For example, in the dusk, I'm going for a jogging. It's very early in the morning. It's dark around. It's very teeny tiny slight light possibly is seen. And when I'm jogging, I see something in the distance moving. Something moved. Then I try to see what that thing could be. Could that be an animal? Could that be a person? Could that be a bicycle? Could this be a car moving? Two-wheelers, a scooter moving? I don't know that part. Something moved. Then I try to look carefully. And it appeared that it's a slow-moving thing, and it has two legs, and appeared that, oh, that appears to be a man walking. So something, when I see perception, that something is there, that's called perception. For example, that person, and then when I say that, oh, something is moving with the two legs, it's definitely a human being. That's knowledge. Perception, something moved. Knowledge means definitely analysis of that, that fact. For example, I'm sitting right now and I said, something is happening on my upper back. That something feeling that I get it as perception. Then I put my upyog, means I put my attentive consciousness there. And I said, is it the itch I'm getting, or is it an ant is crossing my back, or is it a mosquito sitting there? I try to put my attentive consciousness, means upyog, there. And then I say, oh no, it's a simple itch. And then I do the itching and everything becomes all right. So perception is very early stage of knowing. But again, as I said, it's a gross form because it is not the right example. But just to give some feeling about perception, this is what scriptures are saying. When I said something is there on my back, that perception I have it, already my knowledge has started. So perception already occurred and my knowledge already started there. So don't worry about that too much detail, because somebody asked Gurudev, and Gurudev said, you know what, if you won't be able to understand perception totally, because completeness of perception is understood by omniscient Lord only. So for us, when we talk attentive consciousness, means knowledge mode of a knowledge attribute coming from the all-knower knowing substance. All-knower knowing, all-knower substance, knowledge attribute, and its modification. That's called attentive consciousness. That's all we have to know it. We have to have background understanding that attentive consciousness is not only knowledge mode, but it also involves perception mode, but it is beyond my capacity to perceive the perception mode. That's all. Okay, having said that, then we can just say, what is this one? This characteristics is without any of the following threefold. What it says, attentive consciousness is the characteristics of soul. Previously we said consciousness is a characteristic of the soul, but consciousness is an attribute, and that attribute is immutable, never changing. It is stationary forever. So how do I know that there is a consciousness attribute within me? Through the attentive consciousness mode of the knowledge attribute. So this attentive consciousness is a characteristic of soul. Now it says, how do we know that this characteristics is without any of the following three faults? This is a nice chapter. Characteristics of a given substance has to be without three of the following faults that we are going to discuss. If any of the fault is present, that cannot be the characteristic of the soul. Now we'll go through the example that will make much easier. So let's do first what it says. These characteristics of attentive consciousness for the soul has to be free of ati vyapti dosh. Dosh means fault. Ati vyapti. Ati means too much. Vyapti means to be present. Means something, extension of character beyond the determined object. This is called pencil. Can I say that this is a cell phone? No, because there are particular characteristics in this pencil, in this object, which helps me write in the form of a lead pencil. That's why this is called pencil. This has no ati vyapti dosh, means same thing cannot be present anywhere else. Same thing cannot be present in the telephone. So one has to understand that one ati vyapti dosh has not to be present just to say that something is characteristics of a substance. What does it mean? A particular characteristics remaining present only in a part of the object. Now, like cow has a white color. Suppose I say, somebody says, my granddaughter says, Grandpa, how is the cow look like? And I said, when you see an animal who is a white color, has to be cow. Is this a true statement for cows knowing that this is characteristics of cow? The white color, is it a right characteristics? Well, it is not, because white color is also present in a donkey, it's present in a dog, it's present in other animals too. So that means that characteristics, white color, is remaining present only in part of the object, means only in some cows it is present, because it is also present in the other. So white color cannot be your identification for the cow, because it is present in more than that animal. So this is not particular characteristics. Okay, so that's called ati vyapti dosh. Ati vyapti means more, present in more things. Dosh means fault. So this white color for the cow is not a right characteristics. What's the second one? Avyapti dosh. Vyapti means to be present, and A means non-inclusion fault. What does it mean? Too narrow, non-comprehensive fault. That means characteristics seen in a given object as well as other object too. For example, if I say characteristic of the cow is a horn, Now, he knows of a cow. It can also be found in other animals too. So this is called avyapti dosh. So this is in the sense, one second, avyapti means horn is not only the characteristics of the cow. It can be present in other animals too. So this is another fault. The third one is asambhav dosh, means improbable fault, means characteristic cannot be found in a particular object. For example, soul has a color. If I say this, my soul is yellow color, or my soul is white color. Color is a characteristic of the matter particles. Soul has no color, so that means this is improbable fault present. So three types of things has to be absent to say that this characteristics of attentive consciousness is present. This is the example we gave. Now we go through the real thing now. What it says, if one believes that the soul's characteristic is to have omniscience knowledge, is there any problem? If I say soul has a characteristics of having omniscience knowledge, is there any problem? The characteristics for the soul. Now, does everybody has a omniscience knowledge? Do I have omniscience knowledge? No. Am I conscious element of a soul? Yes. So this is not a right characteristic. Yes, Mahavir Swami Bhagavan, when he was 2,500 years back, when he was moving with his physical body, he had omniscience knowledge. Now that Mahavir's soul has gone to Siddha, he has omniscient knowledge. So soul can have omniscient knowledge, but not all the souls can have omniscient knowledge. So this is the fault. What is the fault? It's a ativyapti dosh, means extension of character beyond the. No, I think this is avyapti. I'm sorry. This is a wrong thing I wrote. Avyapti means it is present in some soul and not present in all the souls. So avyapti, it's present in some souls, not present in all the souls. So that is not right. So omniscient knowledge occurs when one achieves 13th spiritual development stage, 13th gunsthanak. From 1 to 12 gunsthanak, there is no omniscience knowledge present. So this kind of omniscience knowledge as a characteristics for the soul can be present only in some, but not in all, and that's why it's called avyapti dosh. I flip-flop those things, so I'm sorry for that. I'll change those things. Second one, if one believes that soul's characteristics is to be formless, is there any problem? Soul cannot be seen with physical senses. Soul cannot be perceived with physical senses. I cannot touch the soul. I cannot taste the soul. I cannot smell the soul. I cannot see the soul with my eyes. I cannot hear the soul with my ears. Because my five senses, they perceive the matter particles only. For example, I'm touching this pencil. Touching. What am I touching? The matter particles. I'm tasting apple right now. Means apple is a matter, non-living matter. I'm tasting. Okay. I'm smelling a flower. Flower is a matter. I'm seeing the car. Car is a matter. I'm listening to the musical sounds. Sound is a matter. So my five senses can see, feel, listen, smell, touch, only matter particles. So soul cannot be perceived with the physical senses. So if I say that the soul has no shape, and my physical senses sees, feels, listens, perceives everything with a matter things, with a form. Form means a shape. So soul has no form. Is there any problem with that? Because I cannot perceive soul with my physical senses, because soul is not a matter, but soul has no form and soul is formless. Is there any problem with that? Then it says, this is ativyapti dos. As I said, these two are just flipped over. This has to become over here. This has to go there. Ativyapti dos. Why ativyapti dos? They go from here to here. This goes in here, and the other part goes over there. What is it? Ativyapti dos means, wait. Ativyapti dos means soul is formless, so is medium of motion, so is medium of rest, so is time, and so is space. These are the other substances, they also have formlessness. So it's called ativyapti, means the characteristic of formlessness is also present in remaining four objects: medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time. Dharmastikai, adharmastikai, akashka. They are also formless. They are also arupi. Matter particles are rupi. Soul is arupi. Soul is formless. So are the medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time. So these formless characteristics, if I consider for the soul, then it has a ativyapti dos, because it's an extension of character beyond the determined object. Beyond the determined object of soul, that other objects can also have the same formlessness, and so this cannot be the real characteristics for soul. What it said over here, besides soul substance, there are other four substances are with formlessness. They are medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time. So this cannot be the right type of characteristics. Same over here, we just said that omniscience knowledge cannot be the omniscience knowledge can also not be the right form of characteristics of the soul, because some have it, some don't have it. Then third one, if one believes that soul's characteristics is to a physical body, is there any problem with this belief? I'm here, I'm talking, walking, moving. Suddenly, I stop breathing. So that body is called dead. So but soul means physical body. Is there any problem? Yeah, there's a problem. Why? Because there's asambhav dos, improbable fault. Because physical body can never be found in the formless nature of the consciousness soul. So all these characteristics that we put, the omniscience knowledge as a characteristics of the soul, formlessness as a characteristic of the soul, and physical body as a characteristic of the soul, they all are faulty assumptions, and so they are not the right one to consider. They all cannot be the right form of characteristics, because they all have three types of fault present. So then what could be the real characteristic? Attentive consciousness. Why attentive consciousness? Attentive consciousness is present in every living soul, whether it is a lowest form of life in the form of nigod, or 1 sense, 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, 5 sense living being, or heavenly body, heavenly soul, infernal soul, or the human being, or animals, or plants, or liberated soul, Siddha Bhagavan. They all have attentive consciousness. Means they all have knowledge modification. They all know every moment. Every moment they keep on knowing. That knowing function keeps on going on forever. Lowest form of life, the Nigod, they also have teeny tiny, slightest possible knowledge, but knowledge is there. And every moment they keep on knowing. We keep on knowing every moment, and so is Siddha Bhagwan, so is all heavenly soul, infernal soul, everybody keeps on knowing. So attentive consciousness is the characteristics which is without these three faults. And that's why it's a true characteristics. And where does this say? It's a Purusharth Siddhi Upaya, stanza number 9. This kind of things are mentioned. And there are other places also it's been mentioned. So, this is the things. One more, Samesha stanza 24, stanza 24. First part we are taking the same reference. Sarvagna Gnana Visesada Upayog Lakshan Jeev She. Omniscient Lord has perceived that the characteristics of the soul is its attentive consciousness. This is another reference we are taking. So different places, all these references are given in the scripture to just say that what's the characteristic of the soul, and attentive consciousness is the absolute characteristics without those three mentioned faults in the past. Then another reference we have is a Tattvat Sutra, chapter 2, Sutra number 8. It says Upyogo Lakshanam. Upyogo Lakshanam. Soul's characteristics is attentive consciousness. Only thing over here says Upyogo Lakshanam. That's all. Umaswati ji, Acharya Umaswati ji, 2000 years back, he has done a fantastic job of writing Tattvat Sutra. Tattvat Sutra is a scripture that every Jain from any subdivision, he or she accepts this one, this scripture. And so Acharya Umaswati ji wrote very short verses. Upyogo Lakshanam. That's what he said. Means attentive consciousness is the characteristics. That's all. Now, if I'm reading it, I have to go and enter his heart and brain to understand what he really wanted to say over here. So, at this one, meaning of this one, literally, attentive consciousness characteristics. That's it. But then one enters in his mind to see that he means the soul's characteristics. It is not matter's characteristic, it's a soul's characteristics. And this is the way, this is the reason we have to understand that what is a short sentence mean also. If we just take literally this meaning of this word that is written over here, the upyogo lakshanam, it means nothing. But we have to have a vision to go in between the line what Acharya Bhagavan wants to tell us. That's why in the scripture it says, one needs help of omniscient Lord, Holy Scripture, and enlightened monks and enlightened persons. They should be our guide. They should help us out in knowing the scriptures. See, Umaswati ji wrote down 2000 years back. He is not here. And this is the scripture. I read the scripture, but what is the meaning of it? Then our revered saints and enlightened people ahead of us, they said that it says soul's characteristics is attentive consciousness. That's why we need to have Dev, Shastra Guru, Omniscient Lord, Holy Scripture, and enlightened personalities excuse me, to guide us. Remember, they guide us, provided I want guidance. If I don't want guidance, then they say, too bad. That's it. I mean, we don't worry about it. The scripture is written. Here is a scripture. Samesar is there. It's up to you and me. Do I want to read? Do I want to learn? Okay, then it's all available to me. Do I want to learn? Then the enlightened person is available to us. But if I'm not interested at all, then omniscient Lord, scriptures, or the enlightened personality means nothing to me. So I have to have inquisitiveness, then all those things are available to us. Now, Purusha Siddhi Upay, stanza 9, what it says? ज्ञान दर्शन चेतना के नाथ को पुरुष कहते हैं, यही चेतना अव्याप्ति, अतिव्याप्ति और असंभव तीन दोषों से रहित इस आत्मा का असाधारण लक्षण है. It's a very loaded statement that Purusha Siddhi Upay, stanza 9, it says, what it says? Owner of the knowledge and perception. Owner of the knowledge and perception consciousness is known as soul. This consciousness is without three types of fault of avyapti, ativyapti, asambhav, means they are without those three faults that we just saw it in previous slide. Therefore, consciousness becomes extraordinary attribute of the soul. Why extraordinary attribute? Why do we say consciousness is extraordinary attribute? Because it has a capacity to know. What kind of things I know it? I know myself as well as I know all the objects of the universe. I have capacity. I may or may not know it, but I have capacity to know myself and to know the whole universe. And because of that characteristic, there are other attributes in the soul. Infinite attributes are there, but they have their own specific work limited to the soul substance only. Here, this knowledge attribute, knowledge mode can know the self, that's okay, but it can also know the rest of the universe. That's why it's called extraordinary attribute of the soul. इसलिए उसको आत्मा का असाधारण लक्षण कहते हैं, उपयोग को असाधारण लक्षण कहते हैं. That ज्ञान दर्शन यानी कि ज्ञान दर्शन चेतना यानी कि उपयोग. So that upyog is called extraordinary attribute of the soul. Again, Purusha Siddhi Upay. Now, upyog. Upyog, we just talked so much about it. What is the attentive consciousness? Attentive consciousness is what? That means upyog. Upyog means what? Soul has a consciousness attribute. This consciousness attribute is with knowledge and perception, jnana and darshan. The mode, the changes, modification, paryay, which is due to consciousness, is known as attentive consciousness. Mode, modification, paryay, changes, all those things occurring in that consciousness attribute is called attentive consciousness. What it says? Upyog, and that's called upyog or attentive consciousness. This attentive consciousness upyog is of two types, knowledge and perception modes. But as we said, perception mode is perception mode is very, it's really so subtle that we are not able to perceive that one. So mainly when we talk about upyog, that means we talk about knowledge mode only. But we have to understand that both the things are present, but we are making this one as primary, this becomes secondary, and that is the one that we are aware of it. So this one is been said in a Dravya Sangra, Jain Siddhant Praveshika, and very important scripture that is written by Acharya Kunkun Swami. It's called Panchastika, this stanza 40. In stanza 40 in Panchastika, it says as follow. Jivna Chaitanya Anuvidai Parinamanne Upyog kahe che. Soul's consciousness attributes modification is known as upyog. Soul's attentive consciousness's modification in the form of knowledge mode and perception mode, they combine together are called attentive consciousness or upyog. Attentive consciousness we just talked, but upyog means upyog. So those are the things that we have to really have a pretty good basis for understanding. In general, forget about all this technical word we are using. Knowledge, I mean, the soul as a substance has a knowledge as an attribute, and knowledge attributes one moment's mode is called upyog. That's all you have to remember. Soul substance, knowledge attribute, and the knowing mode. This knowing mode is known as upyog. Okay, so that's what we have to understand. Now, again, there is one more reference come. Jivo upo. Let me just put this in. Jivo upo rana dansano hoi anvayat जीव उपयोगमय छे उपयोग ज्ञान और दर्शन है. Niyam sir, stanza 10th. What it says? Soul is with the attentive consciousness with knowledge and perception. So we can take so many scriptures. They all will say the same thing. These scriptures are, remember, written by different acharyas, different monks at different times. 2000 years back, all the way Gurudev Kanji Swami, who was there in this our time cycle, and Srimad Rajchandra ji, he was in our time cycle. So all those people, all these learned people keep saying same thing from different perspective. So that's what we are trying to convince over here. Now, one more thing. आत्मा का स्वलक्षण चैतन्य है क्योंकि वह समस्त शेष द्रव्य से असाधारण है. What it says? Samisa, stanza 294. These are the stanzas. Samisa has 415 stanza, and at this time, it is Acharya Bhagwan is really taking us into the center of the soul, and he's taking it so microscopic analysis of the soul that we have to understand all the things. So what he says, nature of the soul is consciousness. This is an extraordinary attribute of the soul. Remember that extraordinary attribute? This extraordinary substance word comes again. Asadharan gun hai. So that asadharan word keeps popping up again from different perspective, from different acharyas in different scriptures. Now, what does it say? Consciousness attribute has two parts, knowledge and perception, that we know by now. It is present in all the living beings, starting from Nigod, lowest form of life, to all the way to Siddha Bhagwan. In between everybody else, it's present in all living beings. Cannot be found in any other substance than living being. It's only found in living being, nowhere else it is found. Matter, none. Medium of motion, no. Medium of rest, no. Space, time, no. So it won't be found anywhere else except living being only. Therefore, it's an extraordinary attribute of the soul, and it's a soul's integral virtue, means Atma Bhut Lakshan. Soul means attentive consciousness. Attentive consciousness means soul. Soul means consciousness. Consciousness means soul. When we have a time in the future to go through the 47 powers of the soul, which has been described in Samaysar, and in Samaysar it says in the end, after 415 stanza, Acharya Amritchandracharya Dev gives little bit more insight about Samaysar and says, when we talk about consciousness is soul and soul is consciousness, all throughout 415 stanza, Acharya Bhagavan kept on saying, Gnan Atma Che, Atma Gnan Che, Gnan Atma Che. He kept on saying and saying and saying and saying, all the way up to 415 stanza. So Amritchandracharya said, wait a second. Maybe some person will just think that in the soul, this only attribute is knowledge. He'll forget about the rest of the thing. So just to bring everybody back to normal, he said, wait a second. I want to tell you, soul is knowledge. Knowledge is soul. Soul is consciousness. Consciousness is soul. But there are also other important powers present in the soul substance too. And so he described 47 powers, 47 Shakti. Jivatva Shakti, Chiti Shakti, Drasi Shakti, Gnan Shakti, Sukh Shakti, Virya Shakti, Prabhutva Shakti, Vibhutva Shakti, Sarvagnatva Shakti, Sarvadarshitva Shakti, Swachhata Shakti, and all these 47 powers he describes and says, no, soul is not only consciousness, but there are also other things involved. So that's what we are trying to say over here. So this is Tattvat Sutra chapter 2, Sutra 8 is also talking the same way that what we are writing over here. Now, attentive consciousness means upyog. Upyog has cognitive consciousness means gnan upyog. And other one is a perception consciousness means darshan upyog. So remember, we already said that the two types of attentive consciousness are there. Cognitive consciousness with Gnan Upyog means knowing element, and perception consciousness with Darshan Upyog means perceiving mode. This is knowing mode, this is perceiving mode. So this has been said in Panchastika stanza 40, Tattvat Sutra chapter, Tattvat Sutra, Niyamsar, Purushat Siddhi Upa, lots of scriptures, they describe this attentive consciousness of two types. As we said before, that this perception consciousness is too finer of the things that we are not able to perceive. It's really difficult for us to perceive. So when we talk about upyog, means we always talking about cognitive consciousness, Gnan Upyog. Now, what's a cognitive consciousness? What's a Gnan Upyog? Gnan Upyog means the one which knows the object in specific pattern, Vishesh Rup se. This is a pencil. This is a lead pencil number 7. This is the red color, which is not a black color, and it is a pencil. It's not the ballpoint pen. And all those specific things that I know about this pencil is called specific pattern, specificity. So cognitive consciousness will know everything in extreme great detail, while perception consciousness means darshan upyog will say he knows the object in general pattern, samanya roop se. I'm the soul. That's a knowing from the consciousness, perception consciousness. But I'm the soul knowing from consciousness, cognitive consciousness, I'm the soul and I'm not the matter, I'm not the medium of motion, I'm not medium of rest, I'm not space, I'm not time, I'm formless, I have capacity to know myself, I have capacity to know the others, and I have feeling capacities there, I have super senses, all the specificity that I know it, that's called cognitive consciousness. Here it says soul is there, that's it. General perception, soul is there. So this is two different things. So mainly, as we said, we are concerned about the cognitive consciousness aspect of the soul. Okay, here, now this attentive consciousness, we talked and talked and talked so much. How many divisions are there? Is there any divisions of attentive consciousness? We already know two divisions. Cognitive consciousness, perception consciousness, but there are deeper divisions are there. Perception consciousness. Is there any detailed division, subdivisions of perception? Yes. There are vision perception, non-vision perception, clairvoyance perception, and omniscience perception. So these are the perception consciousness. These four types of perception consciousness will know things in general. Now we are coming to cognitive perception, means Gnan Upyog. It has two parts, indirect and direct. Indirect means cognitive knowledge. Cognitive knowledge could be two types, false sensual knowledge and right sensual knowledge. In the indirect, there is second division, scriptural knowledge. This is Matignan. This is Matik. This is Sutagnan. Scriptural knowledge has two types also, right scriptural knowledge, Susrutgnan, false scriptural knowledge, Kusrutgnan. So this cognitive perception. Now, in the direct knowledge, also there are two types, partial perception and complete perception. Partial perception is clairvoyance knowledge, which is again of two types, false clairvoyance knowledge, right clairvoyance knowledge. Partial perception, second type is telepathy knowledge. There are no divisions in telepathy. In complete perception, there is only one, omniscience knowledge. So, if we look at it, cognitive perception means Gnan Upyog has mainly 5 divisions. Matignan, Sutagnan, Avadhignan, Manaparyagnan, Keval Gnan. So there are 5 divisions are there, and this one has a couple of these 3 have 2 divisions, subdivisions of each. Otherwise, there are 5 divisions of knowledge and 4 divisions of perceptions. So these are the way we have to know it. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 types of cognitive perception, 4 types of perception consciousness, and so there are total attentive consciousnesses of 12 different types. That's what we have to understand, that one, that there are divisions are there. As we progress further, we will be talking all this thing in greater detail when we start talking about attributes, when we start talking about modes and everything. So we'll be talking about those things. Now, knowing attentive consciousness, this is the last slide. I know time is almost up there. What can I know by, what are the benefits of knowing attentive consciousness? When we come to the chapter of attentive consciousness, we'll be talking a lot more. In a Panchastikai, in a Gujarati that we are talking on Thursday, we took this attentive consciousness and the benefits of knowing attentive consciousness. We end up taking 8 or 9 classes. Here, I'm just going to give you just overview about it. Don't worry if you don't understand. Only the thing, that we will be talking this one in great detail when that chapter comes for us to understand. Right now, we are hammering for last 1 hour attentive consciousness, attentive. But what are the benefits I get in? That I end up knowing nature of substance, attributes, and mode. I understand Dravya Gun Paryay, Nuswaru. I understand the nature of those things. Second thing I understand knowing is self-quartet of substance, attribute, area, and mode, Swachatushtay. There are foreign words right now for you, but don't worry about it. I'm just throwing the word so at least we know that there are words available. Those words will be coming in the scriptural reading and everything, and we will be going in great detail about all these things in the future. It also tells me, it gives me knowledge about principal cause, auxiliary cause relationship, nimitic sambandh. Jainism is only the philosophy all over this world right now that talks about principal cause, auxiliary cause relationship. And what that one is, I am the one who is a person, I'm the one, means soul, ends up doing a function, and at that time there are associated favorable situations. They are called auxiliary cause. When I'm doing something, the karma fruition is there, so karma are auxiliary. Karma cannot do anything to me. I'm the one doing everything because of me. So that we will be going to that one in detail also. It's a fantastic principle that Acharya Bhagwan has put forward for us to know. Multiplicity point of view, Anekantvad, we already have touched that one little bit, and we'll be talking a lot more when we come to the chapter. Consciousness having capacity to know and self and alien object, Swapar Prakashak. Attentive consciousness means Gnan Upyog, means me as a knowledge mode can know self and alien object, Swapar Prakasha, extraordinary attribute of the soul, that will know it. Stream of knowledge and stream of action, Gnan Dhara, Karma Dhara, we'll be able to know that one also. Five inseparable multitude, five samvai and panch samvai. What are those five samvai? Again, when the chapter comes, we'll be knowing it. Existence, non-existence, etc. attribute present in the soul substance, bhav, abhav, etc. Those are the things we learn. And so these are the things we are learning from attentive consciousness. We just throw the overview only. It means nothing to you right now. And it should not mean, it should be like that only. But as and when the time comes, we'll be going in great detail for those things, and we'll be learning a lot more thing about it. Right now, we just want to know soul. What is soul? That's all. This soul has infinite things within. And when we are not even scratched the surface of that soul right now. We are just trying to get our feet wet to understand that yes, soul is an extraordinary object which is worth knowing, because I'm the one. I have to know myself. If I don't know myself, what good it is to know the whole world? So this is very important. I think this is what are the activities of the soul. No, okay. So these are the things that we are doing right now. Okay, yeah. Soul has activity of knowing. Soul is a doer of its own activity. Soul cannot perform the act of matter from absolute point of view. Soul can be the doer of the matter from conventional point of view. These are all really far-fetched principles. It is not meant for our class right now. We are just throwing that what can soul do? And what is the perception that soul is doing for something else? So these are the things that we'll be knowing in the future. And these are our slides so far. So we are finished with the soul substance. Next week on, we'll start with the matter, and then we'll go further. Any questions so far? Yes. Yes, Sanjay.
कृपया आणि स्लाइड जरा खोल के मोकलिए आप सब.
Yeah, okay. I'll send it out. Yeah, they are just wet slide, and I have to just change that. That one of the.
Right.
I must be sleeping at the time, doing something.
No. You're doing a terrific job.
I feel bad that I'm. Okay, anyway, no problem. Okay, all right. No, I'll send it out right now, recording and the slides also. Okay. All right. If there's no other question, then we may probably just do the quitting right now.
Thank you.
जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लो कालो, सोवाणी मस्तक नमो सदा देत हूँ तो. 9 times नमो का मंत्र. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आनंद नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आनंद नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आनंद नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आनंद नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आनंद नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आनंद नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आर्याणं नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आर्याणं नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. नमो ओरियंताण नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आर्याणं नमो जम नमो लोय सौसाणम. जय जिनेन्द्र.
Jai Jain. Nichai Takram.
Nichai Dukram Ben.